Hi, everyone. Good evening from CBE Voices of Color chapter, Reverend Tegas Swan. And I'm coming to you tonight with the first of our new video casts. The series will be called In Our Own Voices. And it's a series in which we're going to have people or women of color speaking about the issue of gender and racial equality. So, if you used to be one of our bloggers, this is something for you to consider. If you want to join our publication team, blogging team, this is something for you to consider. Well, tonight I want to start off this series by dealing with the title Don't Defend Whiteness. Don't Defend Whiteness. And I picked this title because it's been kind of a thing of tension um, when people of color react against the injustice against people of color or women of color. They have to name it. And in naming it, we found out there's pushback from people that are lighter skinned and people who typically, according to the racial spectrum, have been labeled or categorized as white. It's not possible for people of color to name the racial injustice against them without naming the categories that I used against them, which is the racialization of skin. And so this is what I'm going to talk about today. I want to bring some kind of clarity into what we understand to be whiteness. When we're talking about whiteness, we are not typically referring so much to a person's skin color. We are referring to the ideologies that have been associated with that skin color. We are referring to the way of seeing life over and against people of other skin colors because they do not have that skin color. And this is not something that is made up. If you check the history books, you check church history books, you can see the missionaries how they documented their understanding of people of color, how they categorize us as savages, how they categorize us as animals, how they didn't see us as human like them, how they looked down on the color of our skin. There are some who went so far as to associate the color of our skin with our intellectual aptitude, with our abilities and skills and wisdom. And so this over centuries is something that has seeped into the global culture because as white people have taken on this whole thing of vanquishing and conquering lands, they've brought with them this ideology. Even when they meet people of color on their lands, they have practiced these things where they were able to separate lighter skinned people and give them preferences over darker skinned people. When you talk about the issue in North America, you see that in even the preference and the privileges that the children of slaves that were born out of the rape of them of black slaves masters were given preference over their own families. So it's a thing that is mixed with color prejudice, but it's more than just color prejudice. It has become a philosophy, a way of life, a way of looking at the other. And so when we talk about whiteness, we are really speaking to that ideology. We are pushing against the ideology, and we are challenging it to say it's not real because it's not real. And one thing I want to say about this, because it is an ideology, it is not located in just only particular people. For example, people of color can be white. They can practice those ideologies because we were raised with them. We were taught to see ourselves as lesser. And so we also grow up and we prefer the lighter skinned people. We grow up and we abandon our ways, our cultures to embrace whatever is of white culture, whatever whiteness has approved, becomes what we gravitate towards. So it is possible to see whiteness, not just among um, the people that have been categorized as white skin, but also among people of color. And this also talks will also help us understand that issue of not all white people. So when we talk about the white person, we're not really saying white person, white skin. We're saying a person of white skin or not white skin who is professing this ideology in their way of interacting with us, in their way of looking at the world. They are promoting this ideology that a lesser, a darker skinned person is less than a white person. And so, this, I want to put this out there to kind of use also as an appeal to those people who are fond of saying, not all white people. We get that all the time when when a person of color speaks out against whiteness. You hear someone who's going to jump up, their hackles are raised, and they go, "Not all white people." We are not talking so much about the number of people. We're talking about a mindset. We're talking about an ideology. And so, if you as a white person, white skin color, you might not even operate on this ideology, and that's fine. But you need to understand that what we're speaking against is not you as a person, but we're speaking against an ideology that pits people of your skin color, their entire existence, against people of a different skin color. So I hope this brings some understanding and some clarity to the issue of whiteness. There we don't have to go up into that whole conversation on defend of not all white people. You don't have to defend whiteness. If you hear a person of color speak against whiteness, don't jump in and go, oh, not all white people. There's no need for that, because we're not talking about people. We're talking about the ideology that has seeped into the culture, that has permeated all ways of life. And I'm hoping that as we start to think about it this way, we can see how much we have absorbed of this toxic belief that lighter skinned people and lighter skinned ways of life are better than darker skinned ways of life, because a lot of people are not, who don't see themselves as racist, they operate in this whiteness thing, which invariably makes them racist, because then they don't understand that when you operate in whiteness, you are seeing somebody else as less than you. You are seeing another person's culture, another person's way of life. You define the person by your own standards. You don't give room for other people to exist alongside of you. And this is one of the reasons why it's been so difficult for change to come, because people typically take a stand and go, I'm not racist, so that doesn't apply to me. It's not about what you choose to do. It's about examining your ideas. It's about examining your practices, the practices of your organization, your church, your establishment, to see, is it rooted in such a way that it is against people of color? Is it rooted in such a way that it puts them down, that it does not affirm them and does not allow them to walk alongside you of lighter skin color or not lighter skin color equally? So thanks for listening, and I would love to hear your feedback, and jump in there. Let us know what you think about this. And please don't forget to share our videos and look for them every week. They will be coming to you now in place of our written blogs. Thank you. God bless you.